Hello viewers, it's Ultimate523 here, and welcome to Reviewed number 25. And today I'm going to be reviewing X-Men Days of Future Past, which is the sequel to X-Men First Class, and the second installment in the X-Men prequel trilogy.
This movie was fantastic, I gotta say. It was a really cool idea, the way they made this movie. So basically the idea of this movie is, it's taking the original cast from the original X-Men trilogy, like from, Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, that kind of era, and combining them with the era from the younger versions, which is James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, who play the younger versions of the characters. So this movie basically taken from the Days of Future Past comic book series. A little history about that. Apparently, that's a big comic book series in the X-Men comics, and it's basically like in the movie they take two versions of the characters, younger and older, and they basically meet, I guess, sort of. So this movie basically has where it has the future of the X-Men from the future basically send Wolverine to the past in 1973, which actually takes place 10 years after the setting of X-Men First Class, and that being because when they send him into the past, you have it's been about 10 years since, or actually I think it's been 10 years exactly since Xavier started the school. So because in this movie he's somewhat of a drunk, and he also he's got the 70s beard on, and he's got like a bathrobe and everything, and he's just kind of like crazy, and so this is like also a thing where he's actually getting a serum for his legs so he can actually move around, and so basically the X-Men in the future, they send Wolverine into the past to stop a madman named Bolivar Trask, who's played by the excellent Peter Dinklage. So Peter Dinklage, who's a dwarf guy, he's a really popular actor, and he plays Bolivar Trask, who actually, I believe, makes an appearance in, or at least a version of the character makes an appearance in X-Men 3. I'll do a review on that in a couple weeks. But yeah, so he's this guy who basically invents the Sentinels, and they're bent on mutant extinction, basically. That's the idea of the plot. And so the future, because in the beginning of the movie, you have all these, you have the original X-Men cast, which includes, oh, sorry. I'm so sorry about this. Which includes Patrick Stewart, who plays Professor X, and Ian McKellen, who plays Magneto. It also has, let's see, Ellen Page, who plays Kitty Pryde, also known as Shadowcat. She's the one who can walk through walls. And they also have Storm. However, for this movie, I did not like what they did with Storm's hair. Because I think in the original movies she had like a wig on, but in this movie, because Halle Berry's hairstyle was her hair was shorter, so they basically styled it up like that, and it was all white. I mean, same character, but it just looked terrible in terms of the look. She didn't look bad, but it just didn't look great. So that was a big thing. I mean, I like the character itself. You have Storm. You have I think you have Colossus. You have you have Professor X. You have Magneto. You have Shadowcat. You have Colossus. You have Storm, and you have Wolverine, of course. Now, Rogue doesn't actually come in later, and this is actually a big part of the movie is actually the fact that they actually cut Rogue from the movie. They only had in the theatrical release, they actually had her in the very end of the movie, in like a short cameo, and it was very disappointing. So they actually the makers of the movie, or the director, I guess, released the movie as the Rogue cut, and basically added in all the scenes that were left out of the movie, and I think extra scenes too that were also just left out from the movie itself. But more or less the scenes that were actually left out from featuring Rogue, because her character, because I mean the real big thing about it was the fact that Anna Paquin plays Rogue in the X-Men movies. She was at Comic-Con, I think Comic-Con 2014, I believe, or no, I think it might have been 2013. I can't remember. Because X-Men Teaches Rachel, this movie came out in 2014. I don't even know when the con happened. I don't remember. I don't. But I remember seeing the panel, and it was about the fact that she was back, but they cut her scene. I think me and all the fans who like X-Men movies were so disappointed. I'm like, oh my gosh, they cut Rogue. How'd they could do that? She's one of the most memorable characters, and she's a really awesome character. But that being said, it was a good movie with Rogue in it. I loved the seeing. I was able to see the Rogue stuff, and they added more scenes to other stuff. But basically, all these characters, all the X-Men, even Iceman. Iceman's also in it. Yeah. So Bobby Drake, Iceman, played by Sean Ashmore. He is in this movie, and he has a beard too, which is kind of a little cool, I guess. An older version of Bobby Drake, but he's also in it. And so they're basically tasked Wolverine, and they send him into the past, 1973, to basically convince the younger version of Professor X, Charles Xavier, to help him, I guess, assassinate Belvac Trask or something like that. Or no. It was stop Mystique from assassinating Belvac Trask, who's basically the inventor of the Sentinels. And so basically he arrives there. It was actually really funny. He arrives in the past, in his younger body, while Shadowcat is actually like holding him still, because he can connect with his past, because Wolverine is like the one who can heal very fast, and he's like, immortal basically. Or no, he's ageless. He's ageless. At least until the Ultimate and Logan comics, which I actually did history. I'm like, and that's actually gonna happen for Wolverine 3. But for this, like, he wakes up in his own body, and he finds out he's in this place sleeping with this person. He gets out. Actually, it's Bone Claws back in this time. He gets out, and then he finds the X Mansion, finds the professor, who's just this drunk version, who is basically a Charles Xavier, but drunk and 10 years older than he was in First Class, with longer hair and a beard. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's always happened. So all has changed. Apparently, shortly after first semester of starting Xavier School, everything went haywire, and the building was closed, and so Charles Xavier, actually no, Hank McCoy, who's also known as Beast in the comics, he develops a serum that helps Professor X, Charles Xavier, get his legs back, so he can actually walk. And he also derives the same serum that helps him control the mutation, so he can control whether he wants to basically control becoming Beast or not. And so as he explains all to Wolverine, and Wolverine is trying to help, to convince him to grab, to get Magneto out of the Pentagon, which is the most secure building, on the planet. And it takes a lot of convincing, but eventually he does. One really cool fact about this movie, there's a line in the scene where I'm talking about, is there's a line where, because this is actually a kind of an Easter egg, or like a hint, because in the previous movie, First Class, Wolverine tells Xavier to go fuck himself. He says, "Go fuck yourself," because that's what he says. That's the line. And so, in this movie, you have him saying, I think I do remember you. We came to you when we in time of recruitment, and I'm gonna tell you what I said to y'all. I said to you then, fuck off. He literally says he doesn't say the exact word, but he says something very similar to the words, and I thought it was really funny. Eventually, he convinces him, and they figure out how to get to the Pentagon, and they actually recruit Quicksilver, or in this movie just known as Peter Maximoff. For some reason they don't actually refer to the moon as their alter ego. They just call him by their human name, which is a little odd. But yeah, they go to Maximoff's house. They find a younger version of Juan Maximoff, I think. There's still theories about who that girl was, but you got Evan Peters who plays Peter Maximoff, also known as Quicksilver. He's the guy who can run really fast. He's basically the Marvel equivalent to the Flash, basically. In another word, we actually had a Quicksilver in Adventure of the Age of Ultron. And actually, if you go back to my I keep saying X-Men. If you go back to my Age of Ultron review episode, then that I talked about the fact that there was another version of Quicksilver. That one actually dies, but this one doesn't actually die. It's another version of Quicksilver, and it's actually a better version. I actually like this version better because it's his better costume. He's just like a geek and he's completely nerdy and yeah. I mean he's a complete thief too, because he has all these stolen goods and like a pinball machine and or an arcade machine. He's basically a one big thief. But they get him to go into the Pentagon. They basically get Magneto out. And it's actually really cool, a beautiful scene where Quicksilver is basically running through the mess or it's like this the cook place, the place where they make meals in the Pentagon. And there's a beautiful scene where they're stopped and they're like, crap, we're doomed. But Quicksilver decides, okay, well, I'm going to make this easier for you guys. So he basically, because I guess Quicksilver has the power to stop time or something. So he slows down time, and then he basically jumps along the walls and this amazingly beautiful song comes into the background. It's "Time in a Bottle" by, I don't actually remember the name of the artist, but it's the same song, "Time in a Bottle," and it's a great song, by the way. I originally saw a video where I was it was actually in the video, and I didn't even know what it was. Like, that's something familiar, and like, oh my gosh, it's actually "Time in the Bottle." So yeah, I thought that was a really cool, like, I guess, cameo, I guess. Just a song I didn't even know was in there. But it was basically, it's a really great scene where he's getting all these bullets out of the way and then like putting, like, this guy goes punching this off or whatever. It's just really hilarious. And he's like licking this like food and stuff. It was really funny. And then it is always like fast, quick paced stuff. It's pretty cool. And after that, you see Magneto greeting Professor X, and like as best friends, he punches them. They basically get on a plane. They thank Magneto. They thank Quicksilver for his help, and of course earlier in the cafeteria, or no, the cook place, I don't even know, the thingy. Peter Maximoff comments to Magneto that his mom used to know a guy who could do that, which is exactly because Magneto is actually Quicksilver's father in the comic books. I did not know that before watching the movie, but now I do know, and I did a little history in that. Apparently that's true. So I think I actually I think it was a couple of podcasts where we talked about that, where Brennan actually mentioned the fact that actually is true. But yeah, so So basically, that's what happens next, and then they basically they confront Mystique, and they try to track her. They go back to the house. They go back to They go back to the X Mansion. They get into Cerebro. They try to track Mystique. Everything was crazy. They finally find her, and then it's this big thing where Magneto is breaking into some kind of facility, I think, and grabbing his old helmet thing. It basically makes it impossible for Professor X to actually even detect him. Actually, so he grabs that. He becomes all crazy, and then later on they go to this the Sentinel place, and the Sentinels actually activate, which is actually cool, really crazy. There's actually a scene where, just as they answer the Sentinel area, where he actually he uses his mind control on an officer, and he's with me or whatever. I can't remember actually what happened. So they activate, everything goes haywire, and then early on in the movie, you have Bolivar Trask, who's testing out, or basically testing out the mutant tracker on in the room, and it turns out to be one of the guys, this Chinese or Japanese war veteran or whatever, and he basically disguises as Mystique, and transforms into her and kicks butt, and then of course Wolverine starts remembering Stryker, and losing his memory of and why he's here. Eventually he goes back, and then he tells Professor X that I saw someone who was going to be reading a lot of painting someday, which is actually a hint because he actually will in X-Men Origins, and also the other X-Men movies. But that's how it happens, and then she gets out. She gets a bullet in her leg. Beast comes out. He's all crazy, and everyone sees the X-Men or the mutants for who they are. They go to the stadium. Raises up this big stadium thing, which is awesome. By the way, that was a great moment. I don't even know. That's hard to do, even as Magneto. But he makes this great speech where that actually happens, and meanwhile, the X-Men from the future are battling the Sentinels, because they came to the place they are in this little safe haven, and they are actually doing that. They're fighting the X-Men, and so that's a big thing. And actually, in the process, Storm dies, which is crazy. But yeah, so. And then eventually there's a point where older Magneto, played by Ian McKellen, he goes to recruit or to get Rogue again. This is actually part of the Rogue cut. This isn't part of the. I'm not actually talking about the directional cut. I'm talking about the Rogue cut. Most of it is based on that because it's kind of a stupid release that they did. But that's the thing where they grab her, and in the process, Iceman dies, which is crazy. I mean, we get more of a Rogue in this one, in the Rogue cut, of course. There's actually a great scene where Mystique, or Raven, Darkholm, she comes by the X Mansion, and her and Beast have a little sexual encounter. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just kind of they go on top of each other and they start kissing. That's pretty much what it is. It's not like me, because we want to keep it PG-13, which is what the movie is rated. So they don't actually have sex. They just have a sexual encounter, meaning they just kind of get into each other. They're making out. And that's pretty much how it goes. So that happens. That was actually cut from the movie. I didn't actually see that in the theatrical release, which was very unfortunate. But it was a cool little thing because I believe they're in love in the comics. I could be wrong entirely. I haven't read my research on that, but I could be wrong. I could be right though, but I could be wrong. They definitely seem like they're a thing, because they're both blue, obviously, and they can transform. Well, Beast can't actually transform into another person. He just transforms into a beast. But that being said, it was a great movie, and all the battles were awesome. I love seeing some fan favorite characters like Colossus, who who haven't seen since X-Men 3, and I will be doing a review on the X-Men original trilogy later. So yeah. Let's see what else. I'm missing another piece of it. What was I was about to say something about the thingy. Oh right, so there's a scene where Professor X is tracking Mystique and he goes out of it. He just says he can't do it, and Wolverine basically helps him go through his mind to remember to find Mystique and gets guidance from the older version of Professor X. Remember, the older version of him. He actually gets to come into the world of the future X-Men, and he gets to have a little bit of a conversation with his older self, which is played by Patrick Stewart, who reprises his role from the original trilogy. And so what happens is that they have a little conversation, and it makes I guess makes Charles Xavier feel better, I guess, or something like that. But he basically guides Charles Xavier, the younger version of Charles Xavier, played by the Big Boy, to just say you can do it. Or I don't know what happens. But yeah, so that was a great scene. It really was. It was a fantastic scene. I thought that was a really emotional scene. That fact that they brought two actors play the same character, and they gotta basically meet each other, because that isn't supposed to happen. And usually in movies you don't have that happen a lot because of the paradoxes and stuff, but it's just a crazy thing. And actually, one of the cool things about this actually had a Star Trek cameo in it. That was actually when I think it was Hank McCoy we're investigating how we're gonna stop Mystique, and it was actually playing a little scene from one of the episodes of the original Star Trek series. I don't know what the episode is because I haven't really seen Star Trek, the original series. I have seen one episode at least, but I haven't seen any of them. So yeah. But it was a cool cameo because Star Trek is memorable. But yeah, it was a great thing about having Magneto have a great speech about where he's talking about humanity and everything like that. It was a great thing. And towards the end, you have I'm sorry, the lighting is gone. Peter does that every episode pretty much. You have Mystique basically about to fire again Nixon, who's the president at the time in '73, which is the movie takes place. And he's basically firing at trying to kill Nixon. No, actually, she was trying to kill. Well, Nixon was there, but she was trying to kill Bolivar Trask, who is the scientist guy who makes the Sentinels. And of course, Mystique is played by the same actress who played Mystique in the previous movie, First Class, Jennifer Lawrence. And she does a phenomenal job at the character, a younger version of the character, which is crazy awesome. But there's a whole scene where Professor X, Charles Xavier, basically convinces her not to kill Trask or whatever. I can't remember what happens, but there's a moment where he's like under this big thing that he can't even get out of, and he's like trying to convince her that is not right. That's not what you're supposed to do. You can't. He's not worth it, or whatever. I get it. Something like that, not being worth it, or something. It's just crazy awesome. It's actually a really funny scene. Actually, not really funny scene, just a funny line between Wolverine and Beast, and Beast asks Wolverine, in the future, do I make it? And the Wolverine just saying, he just right out says, nope. It's like, you're not gonna make it. It's like, hey, will I make it? Nope. It's like, that's refreshing, that's reassuring. There's actually a really crazy scene where young Magneto is actually torturing Wolverine with these metal spiraling things that going into his body, and it just looks painful. But it just goes to show you how powerful Magneto is, even the younger version of Magneto. Um, but eventually, Professor X convinces her not to kill him, and and everything goes well. I guess I can't actually remember what happens. But I know there's a cameo from Bryan Singer in the movie because Bryan Singer did return because he previously directed. I'm pretty sure he directed the first two X-Men movies, and so he came back to direct this one. So yeah, and then basically the end of the movie has it where you have Wolverine in the ocean, and he's being dug up. He's being taken out of the ocean by a young William Stryker, who later experiments on him to become the Wolverine he's known as, which is pretty crazy and awesome at the same time. So yeah, that's pretty much the movie. I felt like this movie was so good in terms of how the characters were developed, and like the fact that this had been the first time they had actually done a kind of crossover in terms of like characters, because like this is the first time you actually have past versions of the characters made with the older versions of the characters. I mean, there wasn't a young Storm, there wasn't a young Iceman, there wasn't a young Telecat, but all the other ones there were young versions of. There was a young version of Beast, and actually, Beast, older Beast actually made a cameo appearance at the end of this movie. His makeup was a little different, and he had shorter hair, but he was basically the same character. Kelsey Grammer did make a cameo appearance as Beast, as younger Beast. For some reason, he still hasn't. For some reason, like he decides not to change human, I guess. But it overall was a great movie. I liked the casting. I liked Peter Dinklage is a pretty great actor. He's in Game of Thrones, and I haven't actually seen Game of Thrones, and I just don't know if I want to see it or not. Actually, let me know in the comments below if you if you would recommend Game of Thrones to me, because I'm not sure if I want to start. It's one of those shows I'm not sure I want to start on. But yeah, so overall, great movie. I love the connections they had. I love how it really kind of had the younger version of the character play with the older version of the characters. I noticed the screen time for Professor X and Magneto was very little, because I felt like the younger versions got the most screen time, which is very unfortunate because I like those characters. So yeah, because the one the character didn't really get a whole lot of screen time was Ian McKellen's Magneto. He just didn't get a lot of screen time. But there's actually some new mutants in the future that were introduced. Blink, this girl who can basically teleport, or no, she can create like wormholes, and she can go through the wormhole and basically like attack the other end of the dimension. And you have Bishop, who's this African American based mutant who can basically I guess he can like do some kind of cool power thingy. I can't remember what his power was. But it's very cool. And then Pyro, I believe it's new actor who plays Pyro in this one. He can basically do the same thing as I think he can basically do the same thing as a Human Torch. He can light his body on fire and shoot fireballs, and basically he's fire. So that was pretty cool. I love the fact that they had that. And of course, Storm wasn't in the movie too, but she wasn't in it very long, and she died too. But yeah, I did like the movie. I thought it was really well done. It just felt. In terms of screen time, I wasn't a fan of how much it lacked. I think the big letdown was the fact that there was not no Rogue in the movie, and they had to theatrically release that, which I don't know why they did it. Why? There's no reason to do that. If you're gonna have a character in a movie that actually, like, especially the Comic-Con, if the actress is at Comic-Con and says, I'm really excited about to be part of the movie, and then you're like, alright, let's go, I'm to the movie, you buy a ticket, and you're like, alright, let's go to the movie, and then you, like, what are you like, alright, Rogue time, and then you're like, and then you watch you see the entire movie, and all you get is a little scene at the end with Rogue, like, and then it's like, what? That's not fair. It's just not fair. It's like, especially since she was confirmed at Comic-Con, and she's like, I'm excited about Rogue being back, and then like you watch that and all you get is this one scene, and then like then the director decides to re-release it as the Rogue cut. It's like, why couldn't you do throughout? Why did you have to cut her? I mean, that's the thing. I'm really tired when they cut when they cut characters. Kind of like with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Shailene Woodley. She was supposed to be Mary Jane, and she actually filmed a couple of scenes with her, but they didn't ever make the theatrical run. I think they might have been released, but that was pretty much it. But it was the most disappointing movie in terms of Rogue. Everything else was great. I love the characters they had. I thought the really cool part of it. I thought the one really cool part about the movie was Professor X's floating chair. I actually loved it. That was a really cool idea. I love that because it's the future of the X-Men. Because of course in X-Men 3 he dies, so this is basically like the timelines are different. It's basically another version of him. I don't even know. But it was a really well done movie. I thought it was great. I love seeing the characters again. Especially since I saw the original X-Men trilogy, and I love the fact that you having them encountering the old ones. So yeah, there's not much else I can say about this movie. I thought that the whole Mystique thing where she could change back into Raven Darkholme was pretty crazy awesome. So yeah, I really I think that's about it for this. Yeah. So I guess I'd rate this a 9 out of 10 because of the Rogue cut. That's pretty much it. That's why I'm doing it. I'm rating it 9 out of 10 because of the Rogue cut, because they cut Rogue out of most of the movie, and that's what made the movie not as well as in the box office. And then of course, post-release it was actually did well in DVD and DVD Blu-ray. I think so. But that's why it lacks. I'm giving it one less point because it did not have enough room in it. But other than that, it was great. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode of review. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. Hope you enjoyed it. And please make sure to hit the head like button. It really helps the channel out to know that you like my videos. So yeah, and make sure to subscribe. That would be awesome if you could subscribe to my channel because I don't have a lot of subscribers. I'm kind of low on subscribers. I'm not a popular channel, so yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the next episode. Alright, see ya.